Hey there, Carmen here, and welcome to your last recorded Facebook Live. So at least for now, I actually kind of miss that I will not have been live for 2 weeks because I really look forward to that component of what I do. But if you listened last week, you know that I am traveling. I am on a plane right this minute coming home from my speaking engagement. So I didn't have a choice but to record this. But I'm excited because it is my personal story. So I love that. My new blog came out this morning and it was about, what is a tongue thrust? So I wanted to talk about my own personal story with myofunctional therapy with a tongue thrust in this video for you. So first, let me just back up just a little bit. What is a tongue thrust? So a tongue thrust, for all intents and purposes, and my simplest explanation is that it is an altered swallow pattern. So something causes you to do this. That can be something like a tongue tie. So that's a physical barrier. The back of the tongue is tied down. So the posterior blade is the most important part of the swallow. So if there's a tongue tie and the tongue can't do this nice wave to swallow like it needs to, then that alters the swallowing pattern. Something like a bottle, thumb sucking, a pacifier, those all contribute to a tongue thrust swallowing pattern because the infant doing it does not remove the obstacle to swallow. So a person swallows 1,200 to 2,000 times a day. So a child does not say, oh, let me take my pacifier out. Oh, I need to swallow. Let me take my pacifier out. So they learn to swallow around it. So they just develop this concern. With kiddos, you can see it, if a kid tries to swallow and they're pushing food back out of their mouth, if your kid has to push their food back in, they are struggling with that swallow. So that's kind of what, in a nutshell, can cause it. So what I wanted to talk about is my personal journey with a tongue thrust. Actually, if I back that up, my personal journey really was for all 4 areas, or what I call the 4 goals of myofunctional therapy: tongue posture, mouth posture, corrected swallow, and then nasal breathing. All of those things I had to learn. But the reason I wanted to talk about a tongue thrust is because it's cost me so much money and frustration and it was so simple to fix, really. In the big picture, it was real easy to fix. So I had braces twice, and the first, and the second time when I had braces and I went to somebody different, I was thinking that it was just because I must have had a crappy orthodontist, right? Because my teeth, my anterior top teeth, kept wanting to do that. So they were flaring. And so I'd find a new orthodontist. Of course, the last guy, he must not have known what he was doing because now my teeth are starting to flare out. And so then I paid for braces a second time, which helped for a while. So remember, a lot of, or most conventional ortho is just cosmetically straightening teeth. So that's what they did. They just forced those teeth right back where they needed to go. The problem is that my myofunctional impairment, or my oral habits of swallowing with my tongue coming forward and pushing on those teeth, were changing the position of my teeth. That combined with the fact that I had really weak lips. So your lips here are what I call nature's braces. So your lips are meant to counteract the push of your tongue with your teeth to help keep your teeth in position. Your cheeks and your lips are there to help teeth grow down in the position that we want. So when I was pushing, when I would swallow, so my tongue would come down and forward, so I'd push, 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 that 1,200 to 2,000 times a day. I was just constantly working against my orthodontist realistically. And then, like I said, I had really weak lips. So, thank heavens that my third orthodontist, as I was getting ready to give him about another $6,000, he just said, well, I'm happy to do braces on you. However, what's the point? Like, if you're not going to correct your swallow, then why? Because you're going to just go right back to where you were. I even said, I want you to put lingual retention on there, which means like that little wire that goes behind. A lot of people have it on the bottom behind their front teeth, and some people do it on the top. So I just thought, you know what? If you put permanent retention there, my teeth won't be able to move. Well, that actually really does not guarantee that that's not going to happen, because I have a lot of clients who they keep popping that wire off. So if you think about that, you're constantly, tweaking or putting pressure on, that bond breaks and the wire pops off. So if you're a person who constantly has to have that re-cemented, then maybe you have something going on. Either that, or you might like caramel suckers. I think they're called the sugar daddy, big daddy, something like that. I would break my wire off with that. That's totally a side point. So anyhow, my orthodontist said, you know what, if you don't correct your swallow, you're going to have paid me $6,000. It's going to do nothing for you. So what do you think? Not to mention that then I knew my tongue posture was incorrect. So where your tongue lays is actually more important than what it does during the swallow. So that constant pressure is more important than, or it's more of a concern than what happens with the swallow. So I knew that my tongue posture was incorrect. I did not have a tongue tie. That is, thankfully, but it's just that's just a barrier. That's just a piece of the puzzle. So that doesn't mean that somebody without a tongue tie doesn't have low resting tongue posture. So I had that wrong. Mouth breathing. I mean, you can look at my facial structure, my vertical jaw angle here. I have talked a lot with you guys in my community about, it's a dead giveaway. When you look at me, you can tell that I was a mouth breather because of the way that my face developed. So I needed to correct that. I needed to correct my swallow, and then so along with that mouth breathing was the open mouth resting posture. So I needed to get my mouth closed and not be having my mouth open. So when it comes to learning and correcting the tongue thrust, this is one of the parts that a lot of people do not understand when I do therapy with them, because they come to me and they say, okay, Carmen, I have a tongue tie. I want to do therapy with you to help that, to help prepare before and after for that. But why do I need all this other stuff for swallowing? So first, let me just say, if you have a tongue tie, you 100% do not swallow correctly. You may not realize that, but I will educate you on that, but you don't. It's impossible to be doing it right. You might have compensated well. That still doesn't mean you're doing it right. But when you go to swallow, I am teaching my clients that you want the tongue to be in the proper position. So the tip of the tongue is going to be up on the spot as I teach, but then really the rest of your swallow needs to be in this nice wave. So I say that putting your tongue on the spot is kind of like home base. And then you want to make sure that the pressure of your swallow and the mechanics, the action of your swallow goes up and back. So I use the phrase a lot that this is Velcro, or it's like a lawn dart for those of you who are old enough to have played with lawn darts. So you want to put the tongue on the spot, and then you're going to swallow properly. That is one of the important steps of the swallow. So, and that's something that people don't understand, is that it's building blocks. So I can't just take you to swallowing steak, and chewing bilaterally and adequately and all of that stuff. So we have to make baby steps so that the tongue can start to learn where it goes for that proper swallow. But it's not easy, but it's doable. So in my case, my journey, my teeth have not moved at all. So while I was looking at $6,000 to have braces for the third time, I did myofunctional therapy. I strengthened my lips. My teeth are back in the position where they belong. And I wear my retainers every day, but they have never gotten tight. My teeth have not shifted. So I'm kind of a freak about that. I am very tuned into my swallow to make sure that I don't jack up my teeth again. So my awareness is really on point. So that just wraps it up. That's my personal journey, but it's really, it really hits home for me because I remember long ago when I had all 4 of those myofunctional therapy problems. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps educate you a little bit on that tongue thrust swallowing pattern, why it's important to correct, because as you get older, it becomes more and more of a concern. Okay, next week I will be back live again, which I 100% look forward to. I am going to be talking about the most common questions regarding a frenectomy. This is the bread and butter of my business. So many people are doing therapy with me. They have questions about tongue ties, all of that stuff. So that should be a great topic. Last, if you have not gotten your assessment tool, if you think you have myofunctional concerns, you don't have to have as many concerns as I did. You might just have 1 or 2. If you go to the bottom of any one of my blog pages, you can sign up to get my free assessment tool. This is the assessment tool that many of my healthcare partners here in the United States, mainly United States and Canada, these healthcare partners use this to screen their clients. So what this does for them, say it's a dentist who has somebody in his office and they fill out this questionnaire. They realize that they have concerns. They talk to the dentist. He says, yeah, you need to talk to Carmen. Here's why. So a lot of people love to research. They like to get their own information before reaching out and talking to somebody like me, which I totally get. That's me. So do it. Go to the bottom of the blog. Get the assessment tool. There's one for an adult. There's one for a child. Walk yourself through the questions. There's 25 of them. These are 25 questions that I'm going to talk to you about in a comprehensive exam. So it helps you just identify if you have concerns. It helps you start to narrow things down. And it also will kind of just give you that oomph to reach out. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody. I just want you to reach out and get the help that you need. So you can do that. Also, you can follow us. I have the Tongue Tie and Myofunctional Therapy Support Group on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, lots of places. So thank you so much for all that you do or teach me or questions you ask me, because I learn from all of that and I learn every single time that I educate. So while I am gone educating senior dental hygiene students, which is where I'm speaking, that's super exciting, I will be back with you live next week. So have a beautiful week and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.